Hey everyone, it's Venus here, and I'm here with you today to talk about something that I always get asked about, not only by young aspiring tennis players and young athletes, but also parents, which is how in the world do you become a professional athlete? So there are some things that I want to share with you that are going to help, and hopefully it will help you on your path to find your dreams out there and play in the big leagues. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the first piece of advice that I would have for athletes coming into the pro level. The first one is you've got to build a great team. Now, what do you think a great team is? A great team doesn't have to be like the person that's coaching Novak Djokovic or Serena Williams. There are a lot of great folks out there who understand the game of tennis or whichever sport that you're pursuing, and you've got to find that right person for you so that way you can build an amazing game. And most games are built off technique. So if you can develop amazing technique and amazing form, it's going to propel you to be able to have the great foundation that you need to build a fantastic game on, right? Because a good foundation, like any home, has to be built on a good foundation. A bad foundation is going to crumble. So that's why technically your game has to be incredible. So that way not only can you build, but also you can get so much better. So the players with the great technique are the ones that actually end up going to the professional level. And also you need that person to be able to be positive. Okay, so when we're building the right team, we're talking about not only technicality, but we're talking about those leadership skills. You can still have someone on your team who pushes you while being positive, right? And guess what? You have to be positive too, because it's no fun working with someone who is negative all the time. So that goes for the coach, and that goes for the student, and that also goes for the parents. Hello parents, I'm talking to you. No negativity. So that's extremely important, to make sure it's positive and to make sure that you're building that great foundation. Here's the next tip for going pro. You've got to put in the time. So if you are training 2 or 3 days a week, that's not going to cut it. I'm so sorry. But guess what? You're going to school how many days a week? 5 days. Do you go to school 2 days a week? No. When you go to work, how many days do you go to work? 5 days a week, right? So if you want to play a professional sport, you've got to be out there 5 or 6 days a week, and you're going to need to be out there at the minimum 3 hours a day, but I'd recommend 4 or 5 hours. Okay, you can still listen to your body. There are some days where you need to rest, but week in, week out, you're going to have to put in the time. There is no way around getting around the time, and there is no way around paying the price. So guess what? You're putting in the time with the good technique. You're not putting in time with bad technique, because then guess what? Crumbles. Your house will. You're going to have to train your brain just as much as you train your body. There is no need to have a big, wonderful, strong body and your brain is not functioning. So spend the time that you need to working on your mental game. So prepare, be prepared. Have a journal, write things down. What are your goals? How are you going to get there? And then go ahead and reevaluate. Did you make those goals on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis? And if you didn't, that's fine. But just reevaluate and set a new goal. And then from there, you're going to work on making sure that mentally you're strong and ready. And that's by positive affirmations. Give yourself positive affirmations. Yes, you can do this. Because sometimes we think we can't. And sometimes we do fail. And that's okay, because a failure is just a moment, right? But you're going to have to tell yourself that you can do these things. So every time you have a negative thought, you need to replace it with a positive thought. So doing your mental work, doing your visualization, seeing yourself win your games, achieve what you want to achieve, execute what you want to execute is going to be so important. So if you're doing the physical training without the mental training, you're going to miss out on that opportunity to get to your best, which is hopefully professional. Another tip that I'm going to give you for going pro is definitely setting goals. We talked a little bit about this in working on your mental game, but you're going to need to set goals. You're going to need to be able to know where you'd like to be in the future. So if that's going to college, if that's making your high school team, if that's making the national finals, whatever that might be, you need to write that down and look at it as just like a ladder, right? You're going up that ladder step by step. And the way to go up a ladder is one step at a time. It's not always going to be like, when you go up a ladder, you don't go up 10 steps at once. So figure out what each step is for you on your journey and what those steps mean for you. It's different for each person because we all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses. We all have things we need to work on. There's other things all the things, right? So figure out what your goals are. Make sure they're on paper so they're a real thing and not just in your imagination or somewhere floating in your head. They should be on paper and you should be working on them every day. And another tip is going to be a bonus tip as well. And that is going to be finding mentors. If you have access to this, you can find mentors in your sport that have been there before or who have that experience that you don't have. So that way you can ask your questions, you can get feedback, you can learn from their experience. My older sister Lynn, she used to always joke, I made this mistake so you don't have to, right? So those people have made mistakes. They've also had amazing successes too, but they've had all of those things so that way you can go there and you can get there faster. So if you have that opportunity to find a mentor, and if that person isn't close to you, maybe you can write, DM, tag someone. There are always people who are willing to help, trust me. People love to help. So figure out how to find your mentor, and sometimes just having the opportunity to ask questions or run something by someone can make the world of a difference. So if you can do that, that's going to be huge. So when it comes to step by step, especially when you're obviously trying to make it, if you're trying out for a team, you've got to be scouted. If you're a professional tennis player, then you're looking for wild cards into the events because you don't have a ranking, or if you're traveling somewhere where maybe you can get in because you're just starting out. The things that can really help you, and this is what I didn't have, right? When I came up, obviously, guess what? There's social media. And you have the opportunity to DM and the folks who can help you on your journey, right? So make your tape, your films, DM the folks. People will see you, especially if you're following the other steps, if your game looks good. And you have the opportunity to have that exposure. And it's so wonderful today, right? Because you can create your own brand right on your own Instagram and social media. So Instagram isn't just a place to show that you're living some lavish life or whatever it is that some people are doing. It's actually a place that can be your workplace to further your own future. Because sometimes you need just that opportunity for someone to see you. For me, when I was growing up, my dad, he got us, I think our first article was like in the Compton Gazette or something like that. But he understood the importance of, your own brand and of media as well, and what that meant for us. And ultimately it led to me being able to get a wild card to a tournament and then being able to take that step into the professionals. And that would have never happened if people hadn't known me. Of course, being able to perform in, being able to perform in tournaments and being able to perform at a high level is always helpful because nothing speaks better than your performance. So if you can perform, that is really going to help. Really your performance, you can be your own marketing machine. But more than anything, outside of that, never forget the love for the game, because the love for the game is going to lead you to everywhere you need to be. But you want to be a master at your game, and the only way to get there is just through perfection and process. So what's really, really important is not necessarily winning today, but being able to win tomorrow. So you really have to develop your game, and the right way to do that is to figure out what processes work, right? And a lot of it's going to be fundamental that works for everyone. And then we all have our own different game styles and what works for us. And that's a whole strategy sort of thing, but it doesn't change your technique. So if you want to be a master at the game, master the process. Stop going out there thinking about winning and stop going out there thinking about losing. Go out there thinking about, how do I master the process? And then if you've mastered the process, the results will come. And if the results do not come, then you go back to your process and you say, what has gone wrong in my process? And it's basically if you're following a recipe and you're making some food and something doesn't come out right, doesn't taste good, then you go back and you say, what went wrong in this recipe? So it's the same thing of becoming a master of your game, getting the recipe right. A lot of times people want to know, what is the secret? Like, what is the secret to getting to Wimbledon? What is the secret to winning matches? What is the secret to getting a better ranking? And I would say that secret is enjoying yourself. If you are not enjoying yourself, doing what you love, then guess what? You're not going to enjoy getting through the rankings. You're not going to enjoy winning those matches. You're not going to enjoy all the things that you hopefully should be enjoying. I remember I once asked a young girl, and she was a professional player, and she was thinking about quitting the game. And I said, what do you enjoy most about the game? What's your favorite thing to do? And she could not answer the question. And that was not great, because there should be something you love doing. Like for me, example, in practice, I love serving. If I could, I would serve for 2 hours and walk off of the court. It's not realistic because you'll blow your arm out, but that's something I love doing. Or I love playing points, and there's other parts I don't love as much, but there should be something that you love. I love the feeling of walking off the court and knowing that I did the work. Even if it wasn't like my best practice, I'd know that I did the work, and that feels great. So you've got to figure out how to enjoy yourself on the court. The people who are enjoying it are going to want to work harder. You're going to want to put in the work. You're not going to feel exhausted or depressed or tired about putting in the work, even on those days or weeks or months when it's going not the way you'd like it to go, if the results aren't going there. And that's the key to really climbing up those ranks. That's the secret sauce, is really loving what you do and finding that joy. So a lot of people may be like, well, how do I find that joy? How do I find that joy in, this process, even when I'm not getting, the results that I want? And what you have to take out of this is you have to reframe your mind. You have to reframe your mind against like the only happiness is winning. There's joy in finding out what you shouldn't do as well. There's joy in finding out which way you shouldn't do it. And also, there's just joy in competing. And that's what you should find that joy in, hopefully, competing against yourself, competing against that challenge to get there, and also that thrill of competition. Like, guess what? I get to be out here. Guess what? I'm actually good at this. Guess what? In this next opportunity, this next point, this next play, this next game, I have a chance to be my greatest. So when you start thinking that different way, training yourself to think a different way, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I lost that last match, things are never gonna go right, or those thoughts you can reframe immediately into something else. Of, I had fun out there today, I pushed myself, I didn't get the results, but I had this great thing happen, X, Y, Z. So when you're able to reframe everything to a joyful state, that's when you're gonna start getting even more wins.